Hi nostalgic home cooks! Today I'm in the kitchen making a classic cozy comfort food, extra creamy macaroni and cheese. This classic macaroni and cheese recipe is quick and easy to make any day of the week. This deliciously smooth and creamy cheesy pasta is baked in the oven for a perfectly golden breadcrumb topping. So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make a quick and easy macaroni and cheese pasta bake. I'm going to start off by cooking my noodles. Since I'm going to be cooking the noodles twice, once in the boiling water and then again when the pasta is crisping up in the oven, I want to first undercook my pasta. So check your pasta's directions and cook it to about a minute before the pasta is supposed to be done. This should give your noodles the perfect al dente texture instead of a noodle mush when it comes out of the oven. Meanwhile, I'm going to get started on the sauce. In a large sauce pot over medium heat, I'm going to melt 4 tablespoons of butter and sprinkle in 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Stir these together to form a roux, which should look like a sort of flour and butter paste. This is going to thicken my sauce and it will give just the slightest warm, toasty flavor as we start to cook and give a little color to the flour. Next, I'm going to whisk in 2 cups of milk. Continue to stir and get rid of any lumps and bumps from the flour. As the sauce cooks and bubbles, it will start to thicken into a silky smooth sauce. I'm going to season it with a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of dried mustard powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and a generous grind of salt and pepper. Now that the sauce is nice and hot, I can shut off the heat and start to stir in the most important part, the cheese. Since the cheese is going to be the main flavor and texture for this pasta, I'm going to make sure to pick the perfect cheese. You can of course pick your family's favorite cheese, but to make this the best macaroni and cheese recipe ever, I've come to our favorite cheese factory to pick out the perfect cheese blend. For my macaroni and cheese, I'm going to be using a mix of sharp cheddar, a Swiss cheese like Gruyere, mozzarella, and a little bit of parmesan to sprinkle on top. The sharp cheddar adds that full-bodied classic cheese flavor. The Gruyere adds an amazing nutty flavor, and the mozzarella adds that creamy, stringy element. Make sure not to use the pre-packaged grated cheese. This will come with an anti-caking ingredient like cellulose. This is what allows the pre-shredded cheese to not stick back together again in the package. It will, however, alter the taste and give a grainy texture to the sauce. Sprinkle in your grated cheese about half at a time and stir to melt it into the sauce. Once your sauce is silky smooth, it's time to add in the cooked noodles. Stir to coat the noodles and then pour the mixture into an oven-proof dish. Or if you're like me and cooked the whole thing in an oven-proof pan to save time on washing, then you can move on to the next step. To make sure my pasta bake is going to be extra smooth and creamy, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of milk on top of my pasta. But this step is optional. Now, if we were making regular macaroni and cheese, we could stop right here. But to make this pasta extra special, I'm going to add a crisp and crumbly golden crust on top. To make my breadcrumb topper, I've just taken some dried out day-old bread. Crumble it up either in the food processor or simply pop the dried bread in a Ziploc bag and give it a few pounds with a rolling pin. This is what I've chosen to do because it's a little more satisfying. If you're using the very finely ground grocery store breadcrumbs, then just use enough for a light dusting on top of the pasta. Sprinkle your breadcrumbs evenly on top of the pasta, and then to finish it off, of course, we need more cheese. I'm adding about 25 grams of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Now I'm ready to pop this into my preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius oven for 30 minutes, or until the top crust is toasty and golden. Let your pasta bake stand a few minutes and then serve. Enjoy! As always, for a list of the ingredients, check the description box below. If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.